梦里山相送旧月，梦醒泪染胭脂面。小重山，念一遍又一遍。
好家伙，这下可真是完犊子了。
Oh my, this is really interesting. I really can't figure out what's going on nowadays. Has anyone heard? Chinese men are now in high demand on the international market and have practically become hot commodities. Especially in countries like Vietnam, Laos, Pakistan, Myanmar, and others, many foreign girls have a strong preference for Chinese men. At the same time, Chinese men are also very keen on finding girlfriends from abroad, as if these foreign girls are more popular than Chinese girls. Do foreign girls look more beautiful than Chinese girls? Do they have 2 extra legs, or are they all as beautiful as the legendary Shi Shi? I really don't buy this, because it's widely recognized around the world that Eastern women are the most beautiful. Who wouldn't like Chinese girls? But looking at the current trend, it seems that quite a few Chinese men have been enchanted. They can't find a partner domestically and are rushing abroad to find wives. Honestly, I really don't buy this. So where exactly are Chinese women falling behind? Today, we'll take a good look at this topic and discuss it thoroughly. Let's not talk about others, just take myself as an example. I'm 39 years old, unmarried, and have a diploma. My criteria for choosing a partner aren't that high, right? I only hope the other person is about my age, and around my height. I'm 1.68 meters tall, so I hope he is about the same height. As long as he is ambitious, that's enough. Also, I don't have high demands for the bride price, as long as the man has a stable job, and his looks are passable, that's fine. Do you think my criteria are high? In today's dating market, this should be considered a low standard, right? But let's take a look at the criteria of those foreign girls. Their standard is shockingly just that the man takes a liking to them. How can Chinese girls compete with that? Just in terms of dating standards, we've already lost miserably. I'm really not convinced, but what can we do? Let's keep comparing other aspects, and here comes the key issue. Who will handle the household chores after marriage? My view is that after marriage, household chores should be shared by both parties, whoever has time does them. After all, marriage is about mutual support, and we can't expect one person to do everything. Isn't that a reasonable division of labor? That shouldn't be considered demanding, right? But let's see what those foreign girls say. They actually say they can handle all the household chores and that men don't need to do anything, practically placing men on a pedestal. With this, we Chinese girls lose again. Now, let's talk about having children. Personally, I think having one child is enough. After all, raising children today is not as simple as it used to be. The cost from birth to adulthood is practically incalculable. If you calculate it, it might scare people to death. So, I think we shouldn't put too much pressure on men. This way, I should already be considered very considerate of the other party, right? But look again at what those foreign girls say. They actually say that as long as the man is happy, they'll have as many children as he wants. Oh my God, we've totally lost again, and I admit defeat. In terms of cost effectiveness, we can't compete with those foreign girls at all. If I were a man, I might also choose a foreign bride who is easier to get along with. Although we've lost, I still want to ask the Chinese men, do you all really prefer to find foreign women? Are foreign women really that attractive to you?
有没有发现啊，现在呢，娶外国女人的男人啊，越来越多了。
Has anyone recently noticed that more and more Chinese men are marrying foreign women? Is this because men are worshipping foreign things, or are Chinese women just not attractive enough? Last time, I was taking the high-speed train to Guangzhou, and I happened to meet a couple in the same carriage. The woman was a foreigner, and the man was Chinese. Since the man was around my age, we started chatting. He told me that he used to work in Shenzhen and had once dated a Chinese girl. Their relationship had reached the point where they were considering marriage. However, the girl's family demanded a high bride price and also required a house and a car, conditions that he simply couldn't meet. In the end, he had no choice but to give up on that relationship. Later, due to work, he met his current wife, who was sitting next to him, the foreign woman. She was very different from Chinese girls. She didn't need a house, didn't need a car, and didn't ask for a bride price. All she wanted was for the man to treat her well and be sincere, unlike some Chinese women who impose all kinds of conditions that make men back off. What's more, if the marriage unfortunately ends in divorce, the man would still have to split his assets, which is too big a risk. He said that after marriage, if a man earns less, the woman will blame him for being unambitious. If he earns more, the woman will complain that he doesn't care about the family and doesn't spend time with them. On one hand, they enjoy men's unconditional support, but on the other, they often complain about men's shortcomings. This is the harsh reality. His words left a deep impression on me. In fact, men have it hard too. They are not Iron Man, nor are they gods who can do everything. If you want a man who is handsome, stylish, romantic, has a house, a car, and savings, and at the same time treats you with utmost care, have you ever asked yourself, do you deserve these demands? What special qualities do you have? Are you extraordinarily beautiful, or is your family extremely wealthy? It is precisely these high demands that have led more and more Chinese men to choose foreign women. Do you think this is the case?
5到10年呀，跨国婚姻呢将会成为一种主流。
In the next 5 to 10 years, cross-border marriages may become a common phenomenon, especially for Chinese women, as finding a suitable partner may become increasingly difficult. Does this trend really exist? According to some survey data, we know that currently in China, about 80% of men say they are open to the idea of cross-border marriages. This shows that more and more Chinese men are considering the possibility of marrying foreign women. Take an example from just a few days ago. A local boy in his 30s from Shanghai successfully got together with a Russian exchange student, and they are about to walk down the aisle. The man confessed that at first, he didn't consider marrying a foreigner. Since the age of 26, he has frequently attended blind dates and met nearly 30 Chinese girls. However, he found that many of them immediately demanded an 800,000 yuan bride price and required him to have a house and a car. This made him feel immense pressure, and some girls even wanted him to act as a backup and find a new father for their child. After several unpleasant blind dates, he gradually lost confidence and decided to let things take their course. However, fate led him to meet this Russian girl. They fell in love at first sight, and after just half a month of dating, they confirmed their relationship and decided to get married. I believe stories like this sound an alarm for many Chinese girls. Times have changed, and it's time to face reality. Chinese men are becoming increasingly popular in the international marriage market. Many foreign women appreciate the gentle and kind nature of Chinese men, especially their willingness to pamper their wives and their loyalty to their families in marriage. These traits attract women from various countries, such as Russia, South Korea, Myanmar, and Vietnam. The marriage culture in these countries differs from China, especially in terms of bride prices and requirements for a house or car. For example, in Germany, parents are generally not involved in the entire wedding process, so the concept of a bride price simply doesn't exist. Moreover, in Germany, many people don't demand a house or car before marriage. They value the essence of love more than material conditions. It can be said that cross-border marriages are gradually becoming a new trend, which is not just a matter of personal choice but also reflects the changes in social culture. So, will everyone support such a marriage trend?
这个俄罗斯女孩我真的有点喜欢上她了。
Recently, I met a Russian girl, and honestly, I've started to like her a bit. Last week, I bumped into her while ice skating, and I felt she was really nice, with a particularly easygoing personality. We chatted for a bit, and she mentioned that she really likes Chinese food. I thought to myself, this is a good opportunity. So I said to her, if you have time you can come to my place, and we'll cook some Chinese food for you. Unexpectedly, she really came today. Because I was upstairs busy cooking, my friend went downstairs to greet her. The moment she walked through the door, I was instantly mesmerized by her. To be honest, that day at the ice rink it was a bit dark, so I didn't get a clear look at her. But today, she looked especially beautiful, completely making my heart skip a beat. At that moment, I really felt that her beauty was even more stunning than before. And I have to say, this Russian girl has quite the character. She insisted on using chopsticks to eat, even though we had prepared a knife and fork for her. What surprised me was that she was pretty good with the chopsticks, easily picking up food without any effort, which really made me look at her in a new light. It was obvious that she truly liked Chinese food, as she ate quite a lot. On the other hand, I hardly ate, just kept staring at her, thinking to myself, how is this girl so beautiful? My friend even reminded me not to stare at her, saying I was making her feel a little embarrassed. After we finished eating, we sat down in the living room to chat. She politely thanked me, saying, "Thank you for the meal today. It was really delicious, and you worked hard." Hearing her say that, I felt a sense of joy in my heart, and her compliment felt particularly warm. Then, she suddenly asked me, "What do you think of me?" Oh man, at that moment, I was really at a loss for words, not knowing how to respond. My brain quickly turned, and I hurriedly said, "I think you're a really nice person, and very beautiful too." After hearing that, a smile immediately spread across her face, and she looked very happy. So, I asked her in return, "Then what do you think of me?" She was quite straightforward and said, "First of all, I think you're very handsome. Otherwise, I wouldn't have taken the initiative to talk to you at the ice rink that day. And from what I've seen these past few days, I think not only are you a good person, but you can also cook. I really like you." Oh my God, I couldn't believe my ears. She said she really liked me, and my heart was about to leap out of my chest. After that, we chatted for a while longer, and then she started singing. Her singing was incredibly beautiful, and especially the way she looked at me while singing, it completely captivated me. Her voice and movements were simply enchanting, and I really wish time could just stop at that moment. However, it was getting late, and she said it was time to go. As I watched her leave, I felt an overwhelming sense of reluctance. Before she left, she even gave me a hug, and in that moment, I felt like I had completely fallen for her. Now, I really don't know what to do. Have I started to like her? My mind is filled with confusion and anticipation.
为什么我们的男性越来越欣赏国外女性的价值观呢？
In today's society, more and more Chinese men are beginning to appreciate the values of foreign women, especially their views on marriage and relationships. I once saw an interview video about foreign women, where many of them expressed that things like buying a house or a car could be achieved together with their husbands. When it came to the issue of bride price, their attitude was even more clear. One woman straightforwardly said, "I am not a commodity, so I don't need a bride price at all." This sentence echoed the feelings of countless Chinese men. To some extent, men are longing for a truly equal emotional relationship, rather than a transaction based on money. What many men truly desire in their hearts is a partner who understands them and cares about them, not a cold cash machine. In this materialistic society, many women are overly focused on how much money a man makes, but few truly care if they are tired or need emotional care. Men are not machines that only exist to make money. They also need understanding, care, and emotional support. The bride price system, to some extent, turns marriage into a transaction, and this transaction is a desecration of humanity. Have we realized that when we price marriage and emotions in terms of money, we are actually selling our morals and emotions? If someone directly asked, "How much money would you be willing to sell your daughter for?" I believe every parent would feel angry and shocked. However, when it comes to the bride price, many don't think of it as selling their daughter's emotions and future. This mentality is, to some extent, self-deception. Today, we use money to exchange for our daughter's marriage, but in the future, when our daughters have sons, how will they face such a dilemma? This transaction will only trap people in a vicious cycle, eventually becoming a laughingstock. The most terrifying thing is not how much bride price women demand today, but that in the future, men might reverse the situation and ask for a price from women. Whether it's the awakening of feminism or the spread of independent thinking, the real demand is the same. We are not commodities, nor are we tools for reproduction. However, in reality, many people are regressing, even treating childbirth as a bargaining chip in transactions. Which woman truly wants to be judged and traded like a commodity? In some regions, even first marriages and second marriages have explicit market prices. When marriage is priced so clearly, are we still talking about human emotions? Marriage shouldn't be a transaction like bargaining in a market. Let's ask ourselves, can such a marriage truly bring happiness? In fact, the essence of happiness is simple. On a cold winter day, if a man braves the snow to bring you a bottle of hot water, that is a manifestation of happiness. But misfortune may arise the moment you complain that hot water is not as valuable as milk tea, causing an instant of disappointment. Women actually need emotional fulfillment more than men, But once marriage becomes a monetary transaction, men might feel they've bought it and no longer focus on each other's emotional needs. Meanwhile, women still long for emotional care. When all the attention is on money instead of the person, how can emotional needs in marriage be fulfilled?
大家好，很多人问我为什么找一个外国的媳妇。
Hello everyone. Many people have asked me why I chose to marry a wife from Laos. This is a very special story. Actually, before I met her, I had been in a relationship. At that time, I was young and perhaps not mature or understanding enough about love. We went through what's called the 7-year itch, but ultimately, we didn't walk into the hall of marriage. In the end, we chose to part ways and went in different directions in life. After the breakup, I tried to pursue new happiness. However, reality left me feeling somewhat helpless. Younger girls thought I was too old, while many of my peers already had families and children, some of whose kids were already old enough to buy soy sauce. At that time, I was 30 years old, still from a rural area, and in a particularly awkward age. Many Chinese girls disliked me for my low income, lack of a house, and inability to afford a high bride price. I once thought that living alone might be freer, without constraints. But whenever I saw my parents growing older, their eyes full of hope, longing to see grandchildren, my heart was always filled with endless conflict and unease. Maybe all of this was destiny. In 2018, my business failed, and it was during a trip that we met by chance. Her appearance was like she walked into my life, like suddenly stepping into that peaceful valley in my heart. When I looked at her innocent smile, feeling her purity and kindness, my heart couldn't resist. So, we came together just like that. We have a 13-year age gap, and I did consider the cultural differences between us, the language barrier, and the potential generational gap. However, despite all of this, I still chose to marry her. She may not be the most outstanding in appearance, but she has a very kind heart, which means more to me than anything. We've been married for more than 2 years now. Although we've had some arguments and conflicts, we've never thought about separating. I think these little episodes are just part of life. They make us understand and cherish each other even more. Now, our second baby is about to arrive, and our home is gaining another lovely member. Every time I see the heartfelt joy on my parents' faces, my heart fills with satisfaction and happiness. Through this experience, I have gradually come to understand a truth. Height is not a distance, and age is not a problem. No matter where you are, love is mutual and the same. On the road of life, when one door closes, another window often opens for you. I hope that in the days to come, we will no longer waste time, nor just talk about dreams. May we keep a positive mindset every day, cherish the present, and work hard for the future. Let's keep going.
In recent years, cross-border marriages seem to have become an increasingly noticeable trend. Recently, a professor from Xiamen University publicly suggested that considering the phenomenon of a large number of unmarried men in rural China, the country should open up international marriages to alleviate this issue. The professor suggested encouraging young men in China to marry women from countries like Vietnam, Pakistan, and even Russia. As soon as this statement was made, it sparked heated discussions online. Many men expressed support for this idea, believing that marrying women from countries like Vietnam is quite practical, as these women are usually hardworking and capable and can adapt to rural life. For rural families with an annual income of less than 50,000 yuan, the cost of marriage is simply too high. The house, the car, and the expensive bride price have become huge obstacles for many young rural men looking to marry. Some young men even have to exhaust their family's wealth just to barely meet the basic requirements for marriage. Therefore, they believe that marrying a foreign woman might be a more realistic choice. However, Chinese women have a different perspective on this view. They argue that marrying foreign women could lead to cultural conflicts and family disputes. Language barriers and cultural differences might bring more problems to the marriage, and marriage should not be considered solely from a cost perspective. Both sides hold their own opinions, and the discussion quickly escalated into a fierce debate. In fact, this issue may not need such a big debate, as the data already speaks for itself. According to the 2023 China Civil Affairs Statistical Yearbook, the number of men marrying foreign wives has far exceeded the number of women marrying foreign husbands. In some regions, such as Yunnan and Guangxi, the proportion of men marrying foreign wives is as high as 90%. This phenomenon can be attributed to two main factors. First, China has about 30 million more men than women, and under China's social system of monogamy, the surplus men find it difficult to find domestic spouses. Second, the high cost of marriage makes it impossible for many rural men to afford. Just recently, a rural man from Jiangxi, in an interview with a reporter, complained that he simply cannot afford to get married. The bride price in Jiangxi has risen from 300,000 yuan to 500,000 yuan, and with the additional expenses of buying a house, buying a car, and holding a wedding, a total savings of 1 to 2 million yuan is required to even consider marriage. In reality, there are not many people who can earn such a large sum of money. Meanwhile, some Southeast Asian countries, in order to strengthen their ties with China, have started to vigorously promote Chinese language education. This means that more and more foreigners will be able to speak Chinese fluently in the future, gradually eliminating language barriers and creating more favorable conditions for cross-border marriages. In conclusion, the phenomenon of men marrying foreign wives is a growing trend, as people tend to choose the option that maximizes benefits while minimizing harm when it comes to marriage. Given the high cost of domestic marriages, turning to foreign spouses is undoubtedly a practical choice. What do you think about this? Feel free to leave your comments below, and let's discuss this interesting topic together. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Your support means a lot to us, and we will continue to bring you better content. Thanks again for watching, and see you next time.